Hello and welcome back. Let's catch up with Rails 4. The previous lesson was the last one on the chapter of the router features. Today is the first lesson on the chapter of upgrading your Rails app. And to start it off, we're going to talk about how plugins are no longer a valid feature in Rails. Even though I knew Rails for quite a long time, from version 2.0, I didn't really get to play with the many available plugins back then. They would exist in a plugins folder inside the vendor directory here. You would have this folder, and inside this plugins folder, there would be your plugins. And they would be loaded specifically for that purpose, to extend your Rails application. You see that I just created it, but this folder should be no longer existing. Rails 4 totally abandons the use of plugins, and they're no longer valid and available to use. If you've only worked on Rails 3 apps, then this should not be a concern to you, because Rails 3 introduced the use of bundler and the gem file. All the libraries, plugins, extensions that allow you to power up your Rails app are located in the gem file. In the gem file, you have, for example, the Rails gem per se, a rel which allows you to use Active Record, all the deprecated finders just to ease the migration, and then everything regarding database, asset management, JavaScript enhancement, and many other things. Everything from paperclip, testing frameworks such as RSpec, Cucumber, Capybara, everything goes into the gem file. No more plugins. So what should you do in case you have a Rails 2 app and want to migrate to Rails 4? Regarding the plugins, you should try and make them as gems, and then publish and use them through the gem file. Or you can simply put them in the lib folder and then requiring them manually whenever you need. Like I said, I never messed up with Rails 2.3 plugins, and so I don't have any plugin to show you. However, I'm going to cite Matt Conybeare. He has a great article on how to migrate those plugins into the lib folder. Let's browse through the article to see what we need to do. First, like I said, you need to check the plugins in your vendor directory. Here it is. He's showing an example of a plugin he had called CanFlag. The next step is to rename whatever it is in the lib folder and rename it to the name of the plugin. So CanFlag it should be, right here in step 2. After renaming the lib folder to the name of your plugin, you rename the init.rb that you have on top here, see? And change it to the name of the plugin as well. So you will have the lib directory that's renamed, and also the init.rb is changed as well. The next step is to take the folder that you renamed to the lib folder in here, see? So you'll have the lib directory which you already had, and then you paste the folder with the library code itself in that folder. Next, you need to move what it was the init.rb file into the initializers folder inside config. And then you simply need to go to the initializer file and change it a little bit. Instead of requiring the code like this, canflag/canflag, you simply require the canflag directory which is inside lib. This example is serving the canflag library specifically. You might want to change something else in that plugin. And finally, you delete the plugins folder from vendor and test it out. That's all you need to do to rename a plugin and extract it to the lib folder of your project. A different choice is to find alternatives to the plugin you had. Find gems that achieve the same purpose as the plugin you were using. It's a much better alternative to use the gem than to do a load of work to rename and reposition the code that you had in the plugin. I recall, for example, that the paperclip plugin. I recall, for example, that Thoughtbot's paperclip gem was a plugin in the first place, and then they simply decided to extract it into a gem and publish it. It was a huge success, and it's still being used worldwide. So be sure to check the plugins publisher to see if they released any gem with that name with the same functionality. So that's about it on the plugin deprecation. They were already deprecated in Rails 3.2. with the sole purpose of being absolutely abandoned in Rails 4. So be sure to take a look at your plugins and see if you need to do any refactoring of some sort. I hope you have enjoyed the content today. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at a different way of structuring your tests. I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.